This is Tom Dillon, the Lifetime Liberal, and today is Wednesday, April 27th, 2016, and the title of this rant will be, Bernie, please give Hillary her due. Now let's go back to 2008 real quick. Hillary knew the numbers weren't with her. Everyone said the numbers weren't with her in terms of the delegate count. She was about 100 behind Obama around this time in the nomination. She went on until June. And then she endorsed Obama. She pledged all of her delegates to Obama. She pledged for Obama on the convention floor, all the delegates from the state of New York. So let's just say she was a warrior. And at the same time, behind the scenes while Obama was running for president, she was doing all she could to help him become the president. And now is the time for Bernie to start doing that. So what happened last night? He got crushed. We won't talk about Trump, but Bernie got crushed. If you consider Delaware, which Hillary won, and then Connecticut, which Bernie won, or is it Rhode Island? Let's just wash them out and just take a look at the two bigger states, Pennsylvania and Maryland. Maryland, Hillary won by 30 points, Pennsylvania about 15 points, something like that. And the delegates, I believe she picked up approximately 50 delegates. She had 240 to start, 235 that she was ahead. So if we just use a round figure, she's about 300 delegates ahead of Bernie at this time. And there's only so many delegates left. As I said, around the same time 8 years ago, maybe it was a little bit before in March, Hillary was about 100 delegates behind, and everyone said she couldn't do it with the math, and she held on. So Bernie knows that the math isn't there. He's changed the topic of his conversation in terms of continuing the revolution, of pushing the party platform further to the left. Thumbs up, yes, great, but admit that you do not have a path to the presidency. Now, the best example I can give you of what he would have to do, there are 10 states left. And the biggest one, obviously, is California. I think it has 400 and some delegates, 75 delegates, something like that. And the example is, let's just say it was 400, and Bernie's 300 behind almost, so there's 400. So if every other state was even, which it isn't because Hillary's leading in many of those other states, but if every other state was even, then, and let's just say there's 1 million votes in California, 1 million Democratic votes, and it went 4-1 for Bernie, meaning that he got 80% of the vote and Hillary got 20% of the vote, then would he get, 300 delegates and would he get 300 delegates, she get 100, something like that, or less than that? So even with that, and that's not even going to happen, that even with winning California by a considerable margin, it ain't going to happen. And even before the March 15th super primaries, or if you want to call them super primaries, Bernie was indicating that he was going to reverse Hillary's trend, whereas in March 15th, on the states that she won, she was winning 58% of the vote. He was saying before March 15th that he was going to win those states with 58% of the vote. And now that Hillary has won New York, won Pennsylvania decisively, won Maryland decisively, Delaware decisively, Bernie's path is virtually non-existent. So my opinion, my humble opinion is if you don't want to concede, don't concede, but admit that there is no reasonable path. I use the word reasonable because his minions will come on and say that they can still win. And the whole concept of them converting the superdelegates, and I checked the numbers from last night's voting, and Hillary had approximately 500,000 more votes than Bernie did. And if you take that to the approximate 2.5 million votes that Hillary was ahead before then, she's ahead by 3 million votes and 300 delegates. So let's admit there is no reasonable, viable path for Bernie to get to the election, to be the presumptive nominee. And all that shit about the superdelegates, let's get rid of all that. Because, why would they back Bernie? He lost more. He didn't get as many votes. He didn't get as many delegates. Now he says you got to turn around and do what I said that she shouldn't have done, which is have the superdelegates. Now, two things on that. Continue writing your platform. continue pushing for $15, continue pushing for comprehensive immigration reform, continue pushing for tax hikes on the rich, transaction taxes on Wall Street, on further taxes on the extreme wealthy. I also say have a gas tax. I said comprehensive gun safety laws. And let's just continue to remind all of the voters that we need to continue with, even though gay marriage is here to stay in the United States, we need to continue with pushing for LGBT reforms, and we need to continue strongly fighting for equal pay for equal work. Now, those are all winners. Oh, global climate change, too. Those are all winners. Those are what the American people want. And of course, if he wants to push Hillary to the left on that, that's great. But you're not going to be the nominee. And once everything gets said and done, you're going to be out of the picture. Somebody else has to take your mantle. Pick it up. God damn it, I should do that. The Lifetime Liberal. That's how you're going to do it. But, and also, one other thing I've read, at least on one occasion, I think I've read it twice, when I go over to further left blogs, where someone who was on fixed income wanted to know if Bernie really had a chance to win, because it was getting a little costly to continue to endorse him. So anyone who has money and wants to throw it there, fine. Anyone who doesn't have money shouldn't be giving money to Bernie at this particular point in time. He's made a lot of money off individual contributions, and more power to him, and to keep that up. But at this point, if there are people who are of extremely modest means, then let's not go after those people. Only let's go after the people who can actually contribute. A quick word in reference to Trump, who won. But he made the comment last night that he thought that if Hillary was a man, that she wouldn't even getting 5% of the vote. And this is why I love the Donald, because that's who he is. You know, when he grew up in the 50s and in the 60s, you know, men were still, I hate to use the term dominant, especially in the market that he was in, which was the real estate market. And those are the types of lines that you would get out of Mad Men. Those are the types of lines that I would have been involved in and laughed and chuckled about 35 years ago, maybe 40 years ago. But I don't do that now. I think I've grown up a teeny bit. But at the same time, this is the world that he lived in, that all the time women were objects, and anytime you didn't like what some woman said, you'd always have to humiliate her, defy her, and use vulgaric terms towards a woman. And of course, he doesn't say them all right now. But again, that's who he is, and that's how he really feels. And it will be a very interesting general election, because even though I abhor what he stands for, he will be a formidable candidate, and Hillary and not her delegates, but all those that are working for her, you know, will need to take him very, very seriously. He will throw anything out. He's asymmetrical. He's not conventional in any way, shape, or form. And the stuff that he is saying, for the people who like it, they love it. And she's not going to convert them, but she needs to keep a lot of people from, seeing that there's anything that he has to say, that he knows anything about government, about foreign policy, about economics, about anything in terms of how to run a country. He knows how to run I don't even know if he knows how to run a country, but we'll have to see. It's coming up, and it's coming up soon.